All right, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the Formula Maximale YouTube channel here. This is F1 Pre-Season Testing, Day 2 on this channel. I'm very happy to have everybody along here. Still early days here in this PM session in Bahrain, and we're going to be on air for the next 3 hours or so covering the action of Day 2. I'm Chris Cato, your host, and yeah, live chat is going to be wide open for everybody watching, so please let me know where you're watching from. Say a hello in the chat, ask any questions, and we're going to be strapped in here for the next couple of hours or so. I'm not going to be doing play-by-play commentary for the entire time. I do have some FX sounds going in the background, so we're going to let that play a little bit. But I'm going to be keeping an eye out on the live chat, answering your questions, interacting with you guys live as well. So I am keeping an eye on that, and of course, we've got the action on screen. So pretty simple, guys. You've got on the left-hand side of your screen, you will see the, you will see on the left-hand side of your screen, this is the live timing that's happening exactly from Bahrain International Circuit with all of the updated times, lap counts, drivers are using, top speeds, different things like that. And then on the top right-hand side of your screen, you've got the live driver tracker, so we can see at the moment, currently, we've got 6 cars out on track. Alonso, Lindblad, Hadjar, Leclerc, Gasly, and Carlos Sainz. And I've also got some live telemetry as well that I'm going to be pumping in throughout this stream. And if you want to see a particular driver, your favorite driver, possibly their telemetry, just drop that comment in the chat, and I will gladly show it on the big screen as well. So we've got a lot of data, we've got a lot of information, and because this first test this week, just so you guys know, once again to remind you, they are not broadcasting only on the final hour of testing. So from 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. European time is when we're going to be live actually seeing pictures from the Bahrain International Circuit. Hello to some of you in the chat. I see some comments are coming in. Checo Perez is doing a great job in Day 1 preseason test at Bahrain. Yeah, he's done a pretty solid job so far. He had a pretty decent run in the morning. He completed around 42 laps in the AM session. Only problem was for Checo Perez in the AM was there was a throttle setup issue on the Cadillac. He actually stopped on track at turn 10, and they had to recover his car, bring it back to the pit lane. But it wasn't a major issue, actually. So he was able to get back out on track and ended up completing a decent amount of laps. And guys, you're also going to see here on the right-hand side of your screen near the bottom, this is the driver lineup for today. And speaking about Cadillac, Valtteri Bottas is in the car for this afternoon session, but here you can see the rest of the drivers that are there as well. Quick recap of the AM session, and then I'm going to let the stream breathe a little bit so you guys can enjoy some of the sounds of the cars going around the circuit. The AM session was really, the main theme was a huge problem for both Red Bull and for Mercedes. The problem with Red Bull was that they missed the entire AM session. They didn't even get the RB22 out on track. And this was because the team had found a hydraulic leak in the chassis, actually, from last night. And so they spent the entire morning session getting that rectified. And we can see now Isaac Hadjar is out on track in the RB22. He's in the car today. So Red Bull have seemed to solve that issue. and are now able to complete at least a half day's of work in their run program. And then on the other hand, you also had Mercedes, who had a lot of reliability issues because Kimi Antonelli did only 3 laps in the morning, returned to the pits, and we didn't see him. Again, he didn't even get a representative lap time on the board. There was also some sort of an engine issue there. Mercedes found something in the data, and they had to replace the entire power unit. So Kimi Antonelli also missing the entire AM session, and as of right now, let's see, we're about an hour and 5 minutes into this PM session. We've still yet to see that second Mercedes come out onto the track. It's still tracking only as 3 laps for Mercedes today. So they're definitely on the back foot so far in this preseason testing. Elsewhere, we talked about the issues with Cadillac. There weren't really any other issues for any teams. Aston Martin thankfully got out and did a healthy amount of laps in the AM session, 55 laps for Fernando Alonso. He set the 9th fastest time, but of course the times really aren't relevant at this point. It was just good for Aston Martin to get out there and get some good data and good running also out on track. Fernando Alonso is in the car all day today, so we're going to see a lot more of him as this session goes on. So that's a quick recap of the AM action, guys. I'm going to be still here on the computer and on the mic, so I'm going to be taking a look at the live chat periodically. If you've got any questions, if you've got any requests of driver telemetry that you want to see, just drop it in the chat. I will be talking with you guys for the next 3 hours. I've also got preparing the Day 2 summary video as we speak as well, so I'll be busy doing that while also keeping an eye out on for the stream. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. Welcome to the stream, and I hope you guys enjoy this live stream and this Day 2 session. So I'll be back soon. Rack on the mic. Alright guys, back on the mic here, Chris Cato for Formula Maximale YouTube channel. We're just about half an hour gone through in this stream so far. We got a lot of laps coming in here, and I see some requests in the chat that I'm going to get to in just a second. We got one question here in the chat saying, I'm new to F1. Why is the Bottas icon not moving? That is most likely because he is at the end of the pit lane doing a practice start right now at the moment. That is my guess. We're going to see, let's maybe stick with this for another couple of seconds or so, because if he doesn't move, then it could be maybe some sort of an issue with the car that he's stuck at the pit lane. But keep in mind that this is also sometimes just a transponder issue with the actual tracker on the car. It just could be that it's malfunctioning through the F1 timing app, and that's why we're seeing the car standing there. So moving on, next comment here, we want to see Lando's telemetry. All right, man, you got it, no problem whatsoever. We're going to switch over here to Lando Norris's telemetry. There you go, should be popping up on the screen now. And it's actually interesting to watch this telemetry, and I want you guys to really pay attention to more so on the straights. We got a lot of straights here on Bahrain, of course, the main straight. We got the back straight heading into the final corner, and then also the run there from a turn 2 to 3. But what's really interesting is to watch just how fast and how aggressive the acceleration is out of these corners with these new power units. Just so much power and torque, because now it's basically a 50-50 split between electrical energy and internal combustion. And you really do notice it out of the final corner, as you can see probably coming Norris here as we go through the high-speed sections, and he's got a big straight now to come in, and you really notice just how fast the car accelerates. And then on the reverse end of that, you'll notice just how once he gets to that top speed, just how quickly that deceleration begins, or what they call the derating, the clipping of the engine, when there's just no more electrical energy. And then once they reach that max speed, they just start to lose and lose and lose and more. And this year, that's going to be even more profound than it was in the last 10 years or so of these turbo hybrid engines. So Norris peels off into the pits. So we've got a little bit of telemetry there. So like I said, guys, you see this is the live telemetry that's open here. If you want to see the telemetry of your favorite driver, just let me know, or just any particular driver you see currently out on track. The driver tracker is on the top right-hand side of your screen, and we're going to be able to show you live what these drivers are doing in terms of speeds, what gears are they using, and different things like that. So it's actually pretty cool that we get to follow it this way. So yeah, I'm going to be keeping an eye on the chat. We got, thank you for answering my question, enjoying the program, I subscribed. Oh, appreciate that, man. Really appreciate that. Thank you very much, and no problem. And yeah, getting back to your question there, Bottas is still stuck there at the end of the pit lane. So my guess is that's probably just a GPS issue and nothing more than that. But I'm going to jump over on the social media feed after on Twitter to see if they're saying anything, and then I'll report back to you guys. Elsewhere on the track, it's pretty busy right now. A lot of running going on. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7 cars out on track at the moment. The big one being that George Russell in the Mercedes is finally out on track. If you guys weren't with us at the beginning of this stream, Mercedes had an engine issue in the morning. They had to replace the entire power unit, and they got only 3 laps of running done in the morning, which basically, basically was nothing. Was just more so installation laps. And so they missed the entire morning session, as did Red Bull. Red Bull had a chassis issue. They had a hydraulic leak from last night that they needed to fix. They didn't even get the car out onto the track. So the biggest losers of the morning session were definitely Red Bull and Mercedes. But both of those cars are out on track right now at the moment. And speaking of them, let's go live on board now with Russell and Hadjar, both currently out on track at the moment. They've just started their programs about an hour ago, and they've been on the track pretty consistently, especially Isaac Hadjar, who missed so much in that first morning session. Fernando Alonso just come into the pits, so he's peeled off, whether to come in to make some changes or to just do a practice stop. We'll see. So yeah, very interesting. I'm not sure if you guys were able to catch any of the live Formula One broadcast last night. Of course, they're only broadcasting the final hour of testing this week, but I was managed to actually watch a little bit of it back once I finished the streams yesterday, and it's very interesting the way that the drivers are having to drive these cars, and in particular the power units as well. I saw on the Audi onboard, and then after on Max Verstappen's onboard, that they're pulling gears, they're downshifting even mid-corner, which is very, very interesting. That is something that's difficult to do because once you're pulling downshifts in the middle of the corner, it's like if you're driving a manual car and you downshift all the way down into the lowest gear, that changes the weight, it changes the balance of the car, and it's very difficult to handle for some drivers as well because it makes the car pretty nervous. Of course, somebody like Verstappen can handle that pretty well, but those are just some of the demands that we're seeing so far, not from every single team. When I looked at the Norris on board of his fastest lap from McLaren, he wasn't driving like that, but some of the teams are having to downshift at the end of the straight or through mid-corners just to spike those revs, so very interesting. And as we say that, we've got a red flag currently out on track. Let's see if we can find out why that reason is. So it doesn't say at the moment, just the fact that we do have a red flag. So session is stopped. The drivers are going to have to come back into the pit lane. Question there from @Tangent. Hasn't the Ferrari come out yet? The Ferrari was out, if I'm correct. Let's see. Yeah, so the Ferrari did come out again, but he was Leclerc was in the pits for the last 10-15 minutes or so, but he was out so far in this PM session. All right, let me see if I can find out for you guys why we have a red flag. Just scrolling through some of the updates here. Of course, not all of these are time-coded, so I'm seeing stuff that's from a couple of hours ago. But yeah, still red flag conditions, so the cars are coming back into the pits, as we see in the driver tracker. Well, in the meantime, let me show you guys an interesting video. I was showing some of these in the morning stream, but I'd like to show you guys this one again. And I showed one earlier in today's stream as well. This is the practice starts of the team. So this one's in particular McLaren, but you can find all the other teams have been doing them as well. And because of the demands of the cars this year, with having to really spool and spin the turbo a lot, they're really having to put in a lot of high revs when they're doing their launch starts. And it's a kind of a really interesting sound. So let's check that out right now. So that's what the practice starts sound like from a trackside, and the ones from Audi were particularly very, very high revving and extremely loud, at least from the trackside viewpoint. So yeah, very interesting of how they're having to drive the cars this year, because the power units are just so different that they require much different demands in terms of how they are being driven. I'm still trying to figure out why we have a red flag, but it's not popping up here on my Twitter feed. Yeah, let me know in the chat, guys, if you see anything at home on your end or on your social media feeds as to why we have a red flag. Let's see if it's still red flag conditions. Okay, now it's not red flag conditions. It's switched to a yellow flag. So I'm possibly wondering if maybe this was just a FIA test. They sometimes do system checks and different things like that with the red flag and virtual safety car system. So possibly this was just a test. I don't see anything on my feed here about any sort of issues. Yeah, if you guys are just joining the stream, welcome and thank you, first of all. But second of all, as well, let me know where you're watching from in the world. Comment what country you are watching from, what time it is in your area of the woods. It's currently for me here 2:40 p.m. Central European time. So yeah, just drop a chat there or drop a comment in the chat there about where you're watching from. Yesterday we had a huge international audience, which was really really cool to see. We had people watching from India, from the U.S., Canada, and even countries all the way Turkmenistan, Uzbekistan, New Zealand even. So it was very very cool, very humbling to see. So I'm hoping we can match that international audience today as well. So still yellow flag conditions. Nobody on track at the moment, so we got a little bit of a break here. Let's see if I can find some other content for you guys here on social media. Maybe some action of the cars out on track. So this was just Norris during the red flag, having to come back out into the pits. All right, here we go. Let's take a look at a practice start here from Charles Leclerc in the Ferrari. Let's turn this up all the way. Yeah, very interesting. Even with the Ferrari power unit, it's still very high revs, very high pitch. So those are the demands of these new engines. But it sounds pretty cool, to be honest with you. Let's see, get some chats coming in here. All right, we've got Kevin. Kevin says he's watching from Kenya. The time is 4:40 p.m. Shout out to Kenya, man. Thanks for joining. Very cool to see. Just to Chill Johnny says he's in the U.S. It's 6 a.m. here. Very nice. I'm guessing then, so 6 a.m., that's got to be you're somewhere out maybe in the West Coast, I'm guessing. Because currently Eastern time, at least for East Coast US and Canada, would be just coming up around 9 a.m. So yeah, let me know which state or which city you're watching from in the US. I am originally from Canada. I was born there, so I do know the US pretty well too. We got another comment here seeing from Gabon. Wow, very cool, very cool. That's a new one. Okay. So let's see if anybody can top that so far today. We didn't have, I think we had some viewers from South Africa yesterday, and but that was it. So nice to see some representation from the African continent today. So very cool, guys. I appreciate you guys joining along for this stream. We're still no cars out on track yet. Still yellow flag out on the circuit. So I'm just gonna be filling in here until we start to get some action back out on the track. When we do resume action, guys, let me know if you want to hear less commentary and more of the car sounds from the track. Let me know, and vice versa as well. But I am also here to answer your questions and to interact with you guys in the chat as well. So I really do enjoy being able to talk with the people, and it also helps pass the time a little bit more easily when you're on a stream like this for the next couple of hours. And oh, we got some viewers from Australia. Shout out to Australia. First race of the season coming up there soon. Nearly 10 p.m. Yeah, you guys are. I feel bad for you guys watching the Formula One season on a regular basis. That must be pretty difficult for you guys with that time zone there. But shout out to Perth, Australia, and very cool that you found my stream. So thank you for watching. We got some more action. We got some more live trackside footage here. So I'm gonna show you some of this here. Of course, we can't show any even when we do go live on F1 TV. And we see some actual images from the track. Of course, can't put any of that on YouTube because it's copyright claims. So at least we can show social media videos. so it's interesting. We were just watching there in this video. This was Alex Albon and Lando Norris. I was actually watching this on the driver tracker during the AM session. And so I think Lando Norris was really trying to test not just the overtake modes and the boost modes and those different tools that they have for this season, but I think also just the dirty air and how much that is going to affect the cars this year. So he was doing that for a good couple of laps, just really tucked up in behind the Williams of Alex Albon. And you saw it there just on the video footage. Here we go. I think we played this one a little bit earlier, but here's I was talking before about how drivers are having to do their race starts a little bit differently this year with these power units. But the Audi is the one that really sounds, I think, the loudest and is really maybe the highest revving one that we've heard so far out of all the practice starts. So just get a listen to this. So yeah, pretty cool footage there from Audi trackside. I'm still trying to figure out why we have the yellow flag. Okay, action has resumed. We've got cars back on track. That is good. So I'm gonna return here to the driver lineup. Where's the Honda powered GP2 car? Yeah, good question. It hasn't been out on track in the last half an hour or so, but no fears. Alonso is still driving. He is still good with that. But I heard the quote he said in the morning was, "The engine feels good, much slower than before. Amazing." No, I'm just kidding. He did 55 laps in the morning session, and he's done just a couple so far in the afternoon. But I'm sure we're gonna see him out soon, out on track. We got the green flag again. So finally, we've got cars back out onto the track. And yeah, if you're just joining the stream, I apologize if this might be a little bit repetitive for you guys that have been watching for a couple of minutes now. If you want to see your favorite driver's telemetry, just let me know. I do have the live telemetry of each driver at my fingertips right now. So if you want to see currently either Norris or Bortoleto, Gasly, or Arvid Lindblad's live telemetry on the circuit, just let me know and I'll pop it up there for you on the screen. James says for Cadillac that parts are coming off. They're getting that via Sky Sports. Was that maybe possibly the cause of the yellow flag or red flags? I'm not sure. I'm going to have to see if I can find that on my end. All right, we got a request for Isaac Hajar. He's currently not on track at the moment, but once he is out on track, I will post Hajar's telemetry. All right, I see we got a request for George Russell telemetry. You got it. I'll put that up on the screen in just a second. And there we go. We are seeing the live data in the live telemetry from the 63 Mercedes of George Russell. There you go. We're going to stick with him for at least, we're going to try to stick with him about a lap or so, a little bit more. Yeah, very curious to follow the telemetry now. Some drivers, even yesterday, I was noticing on the straight, whether this is because of the new engines or just the particular run plans, but they weren't even getting up to 8th gear, for example, on the main straight. They were pulling 7th and just keeping the revs very, very high. So that just might be the way that they have to drive these new engines, just because of the battery deployment and having to recharge the battery as well. So yeah, you can see the gear selection there under the screen. So just keep an eye on that too if you see that he's pulling 8th gear or not on those straights. Kevin, I see your comment there. Yeah, really appreciate the comment. Unfortunately, Lewis Hamilton is not driving today. It's going to be Charles Leclerc who's in the car for the entire day. So you're going to have to join tomorrow morning for my stream to see some telemetry of Lewis Hamilton. So he's not going to be in the car today. So let's see. I'm going to pay attention to it now. Russell is just coming out of the final corner, and it looks like he's backed off. So whether he's not coming into the pits, doesn't look like it, but he's definitely backed off. He is coming into the pits. All right, so Russell boxes, and let's switch to Lando Norris here. He's just coming out of the final corner, heading out into the back straight. So let's stick with Lando Norris, the reigning world champion for this lap. Yeah, I saw that too, Danny. Yeah, he reached 8th gear on both straights as well, on the back straight as well as the one between turn 2 and 3 and 4. I guess it depends. I mean, you do see if they're doing longer runs and race runs. We even saw that in the last couple of years that they won't get all the way up to 8th gear. But I was watching, I believe it was the Audi onboard yesterday of, it was either Bortoletto or Hulkenberg, I can't remember. But he was consistently staying in 7th gear even on the long straights, which was interesting. So, but for example, this Bahrain International Circuit is actually a very friendly, or I guess you could say a very good track for energy harvesting and recharging the battery, because there's so many heavy braking zones. And I talked about this yesterday, that it's going to be totally different when we go, for example, to Melbourne at Albert Park, because you really don't have any hard braking zones there. That really is just a medium fast flowing circuit. So the battery charging demands there are going to be so much more difficult than it is here in Bahrain, where it's actually kind of easy to manage. And we've got another yellow flag actually coming out here, and we can see on the driver tracker, I'm just going to get off of Norris's telemetry here and get back to the driver tracker. We've got Bottas is still stopped there at the pit lane, so I think that that's a GPS issue. But Gasly is also stopped at the end of turn 1 there, just before turn 1. So he looks like he's had some sort of an issue, because his GPS is not moving whatsoever. Still trying to see if I can find any sort of information about the yellow flag here. Actually, now that's turned into a red flag, so we've got another stoppage here in this PM session. Gasly's car is still stopped by the looks of it, at least on the driver tracker. So cars are returning to the pit lane now, and we're going to have to go through a little bit of a delay. Gasly's car, at least on the driver tracker, is now gone. So I'm just assuming that the issue is with him. I'm about to just go back onto the Twitter feed to see if we've got any updates. I mean, this is kind of the stupid thing about them not broadcasting the full 8 hours of the testing, is we kind of have to just rely on either social media updates or different things that we can find, or the telemetry like we have in front of us. But it still kind of doesn't make sense to me why they didn't just broadcast the whole 8 hours. The cameras are there, they're all set up, they're recording them anyway. So very strange to me, but yeah, I digress. Yeah, and actually just seeing this article here from the race, I was reading this yesterday that a couple of the journalists from trackside were talking about the different driving techniques that we're seeing, and one from Max Verstappen yesterday in the RB22, when they were explaining how mid-corner he was basically downshifting all the way down to first gear, which in modern F1 is actually quite rare, it's quite strange, just because of the amount of torque that these cars produce from the engines and everything, that it's usually easier for the cars to accelerate out of low speed corners from second gear, just because of how much torque demand is in these engines. It's better for the tires, especially on a rear limited circuit like Bahrain. But the journalists were reporting yesterday that Verstappen, in a lot of the low speed corners, was downshifting all the way to first gear, and as I was saying before, even mid corner. And of course, Verstappen is much easier to deal with a car that is moving around a lot and is shifting balance. He likes a car that's pretty lively at the rear as well, so it's easier for him. But we're just seeing a report now from the race that their journalists from trackside are saying that a lot of F1 drivers are trying to copy this technique even here on day 2 of F1 testing. So yeah, I thought that was pretty interesting to read about that, and we'll see that probably more once we go live actually with pictures from Bahrain and we get some onboards. Okay, here we go. So this is the confirmation then. We do have the red flag, which was caused by Pierre Gasly. So his Alpine did stop at the end of the pit lane. And yeah, so we've got another red flag here. The second one in about, I think, 20 minutes or so. But it looks like another sort of a problem. They had one again on day 1 with Franco Colapinto's car, and another one again this time on day 2. Not sure if this is Mercedes power unit related. Of course, remember, Alpine is now powered by Mercedes, so we're going to find out whether this is a engine problem or just another mechanical issue, but there you go. That's the reason for the red flag. And there you go. Speaking of Alpine and Pierre Gasly, let's watch his practice start from trackside. I'm loving these trackside videos. Shout out to these people who are there, and these accounts who are providing us with these images. So that was the Alpine practice start, and yeah, you can see here are his lap times. Gasly did a 13-lap stint on the medium tire, so that is the C3, before his car came to grounding halt. And you can see his lap times pretty steady there in the high 40s and into the low 141s. And of course, you saw by the end of the stint there, he was getting into the low 1 minute 42s before he boxed and finished that stint. So that was Pierre Gasly there on the medium tires. And just as we're on the topic of tires, Pirelli have only brought these hard compounds this week. So the teams are only able to use the C1, C2, and C3 tires for this week. Next week, they're going to have access to the full range of the Pirelli compounds. So we're going to see some soft tire running next week during the second test. And you can distinguish the tires. The C1 have the white brackets, the C2 has no brackets, and then the C3 is, of course, the yellow for the medium tire. I know we were talking about Aston Martin a little bit earlier, and we had some people in the chat asking about the Honda engine and everything. Let's hear it directly from one of their drivers, Lance Stroll. He says, quote, "Right now we look like we're 4 seconds off the top teams. 4.5 seconds. Impossible to know what fuel loads and everything people are running. But yeah, now we need to try and find 4 seconds of performance." Not exactly what you want to hear if you're an Aston Martin fan. But the good news is we've got cars back out on the track. All right, so cars back out on track, guys. Driver tracker is back up. Again, let me know if you want to see your particular favorite driver's telemetry. I'm going to bring some sound back up from trackside, and I'm still going to be here on the mic, but I'm going to let the cars do the talking for a couple of minutes. Telemetry from science, you got it. I'm about to put it up on the screen right now. I see we got also a request for Bortoletto's live telemetry as well. And the cool thing about this feature here on the telemetry is you could do 2 driver telemetries at the same time. So that's a compromise that we're going to find there. So there you go. Mind Mission, yo, Mind Mission, what's up? He's Mercedes left the chat. What happened to Mercedes, man? Well, yeah, they've honestly they haven't had a really good start to testing. It's kind of been a little bit of a horror show for them. Yeah, they had to replace the engine in the morning, and even if so far in this PM session, they haven't done so many laps as I think that they would have hoped. Russell has only done 19 laps so far. I mean, not bad, but not great as well. So we still got 2 hours left to go, but not exactly the best of start for a team that had an ungodly amount of hype coming into this test. All right, guys, back here on the mic here. Just seeing some of your new chats there. At Danny Dan, thank you, man. No, thank you, man. Pleasure is all mine. You're welcome. And yeah, I hope to see more of you in the chat. At Compelled by the Rift, last year F1 TV showed the full sessions of the Bahrain testing. Anyone knows why this year we get to see only the last hour of each testing day? Well, I think that's mostly probably just because of the fact that we're in this new regulation and new rule set. And I think that F1 and also the teams were a little bit concerned about the possibility of reliability problems with their engines and different things like that. And I think that's why they wanted everything to be so private. Barcelona was totally private, that shakedown, and now the first week. But, I mean, to be honest with you, I really don't have a good answer for you. It doesn't kind of make sense to me because when you really look at it, okay, for the Barcelona shakedown, I could maybe understand it. But for Bahrain, for example, they have the full broadcast setup. They're actually filming all day there. And not only that, it's open to the fans, it's open to journalists. We're getting all the telemetry, we're getting all the live updates from trackside. It kind of just doesn't make sense to me why they wouldn't just broadcast the full 8 hours like they did in the previous years. So I wish I had a better answer for you. It is a little bit frustrating to not get to see the live pictures as we see, you know, all the other data that we get. But that's just how they decided to do it, and it is what it is at that point. The only good news is that for next week's test from February 18th to 20th, we are going to have the full 8 hours of coverage like we do every year. And yeah, just so you guys know, the Formula Maximale channel will be live for those 3 days. I'm going to be live 6 hours each day from Wednesday to Friday next week. So if you like these streams and you're enjoying it, come back next week. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any of our live streams for winter testing and also for the rest of the year. Just quickly as well, follow me on social media. I'm on Instagram and on Twitter at Formula Maximale. That's where you're going to find probably most of my updates and different content like that. But YouTube is the main one, so follow me here as well. Yeah, no worries, Compelled by the Riff. Appreciate it, man. Looking forward to seeing you next week as well. And yeah, also check out the rest of my content on the channel here. I don't just do live streams, I do different types of videos throughout the year. I've got the return of the team compilation videos after every race this season. I know that's a big hit with the fans, so I'm doing that again this year. And just a lot of other weekly F1 content out there without the clickbait, without the drama. Just trying to do some good, solid, honest F1 content out there. So yeah, just subscribe to the channel. The best way to support as well. And yeah, I'm really trying to push this thing to even greater heights this season. And yeah, I especially like doing these preseason testing streams. Probably my favorite time of the year, actually. And also, actually, as we speak off the mic, I'm currently working right now on the Day 2 summary video of F1 testing. So if you happen to miss any of the action from the morning or even from this PM session, I'm going to summarize everything in about a 5-minute video and release that video after about 2 hours after this session completes. So that should be around 7 p.m., 7:30 p.m. at the latest in European time. So expect that as well on the channel later today. Yeah, guys, just a reminder, if you want to see your favorite driver's telemetry or the telemetry from any particular driver that's out on track, currently out the moment, you can see that in the driver tracker on the top right-hand side of your screen. Just drop a comment in the chat, and I'll be putting up the telemetry right away. So yeah, just let me know if you want it. Yeah, at Compelled by the Riff, I see your comment there about Bottas. I will put him up on the screen with his telemetry. I don't know if I was discussing this with you or if it was another commenter. I think this is another problem with his GPS because this happened about an hour ago where it shows up on the driver tracker, but he's just standing there, nothing happening. So I think it's an issue with his transponder or the GPS on his car. But if he does get out on track, I will put his telemetry up. Yeah, I think I would agree with you there on your comment there at Compelled by the Rift. The 2026 F1 car, I mean, the way they look is absolutely incredible. They really do look good. I know we got used to kind of the chunkiness of the ground effect cars, but these cars look really slick, and they look, of course, they are shorter, they're small, a little bit narrower, and it does make a difference. It's not by a lot, but it does make a difference, which is crazy. And the sound is okay. I mean, I talked about this yesterday on the stream. I don't notice a particularly huge difference between last year's engine sounds and with these new power units, but they do sound slightly a little bit different. There is a different kind of growl to them when they're off throttle and that lower speed, and it does sound good. We saw when we were playing it with some of those starts videos from trackside, so they do sound good overall. I was able to watch just a little bit of the onboards yesterday at testing. I didn't actually get much time to see any of the live coverage because I was so busy with the channel, but I did see some of the onboards from Audi in particular, and they do sound really cool. So yeah, I think overall it is a good step in the direction with the changes that they made to the cars themselves. I think we still have to wait a while to see whether these engine regulations will actually be good for the sport or not. Yeah, I see a comment there from at Darth Snarf. Did you see how the Williams was full throttle while in the pits? I think to charge the battery. Yeah, they've been doing a lot of that. We're seeing that. I also read it's not just for the battery as well, but to really kind of spin up the turbo in the engine. So they really have to rev the cars a lot higher than last year in particular. And we saw that a lot in almost every single car doing their practice starts. And you can also actually see that when you guys are, if you see the live coverage in a couple of hours' time, you're going to actually see those drivers. Some of them are going to be doing that in the low speed corners as well, really just trying to spike the revs of the engine just to charge the battery because it's so demanding this year. Very, very interesting how the cars have to be driven. It's kind of a shame that we're not going to get the official F1 video game for this year. We're going to have to wait an extra year, and it'll be released in 2027 because I would be really curious to try out this car on a sim and what it's actually like to drive. I think that would be very interesting. But we're going to be hearing a lot more about the different techniques required for driving these cars, I'm sure, in the next 2 weeks. So guys, we've got less than an hour and a half left in day 2 of F1 testing from Bahrain. Still on the air here. We're going to be on the air here on YouTube until, yeah, for another hour and a half or so. So yeah, still get those comments in, get those questions in. If you got any telemetry requests, let me know. I'm still working on the summary video, so I'm on and off the mic, but I'm still keeping an eye on your chats there. I see it at Compelled by the Riff again saying, the way I see it, the cars are still awesome. The main change is the driving style. Drivers will have to adapt to the new buttons, overtake mode, straight mode, / boost mode, low downforce, etc. Yeah, I mean, I hope it works out. Like, I think I'm probably a little bit more pessimistic just because of some of the things that we were reading from last year and stuff, but I really hope that it does end up better. I don't think it's going to lead to necessarily much better racing because there's still going to be the dirty air problems, but that's Formula 1. It's kind of always been like that. Obviously, I wish we could go back to the V10 or V8 engines at the least, but who knows? Maybe it will happen after 2030. But there's a lot to learn as well, even for not just the drivers, for us fans as well, with all those modes like you're talking about. But I think it's going to favor the drivers who have a little bit more experience and also the drivers who are much easier to adapt. So I think the rookies are going to have a tough go of it because these are totally different to any of the cars that they've driven in their young careers. So it should be interesting. And yeah, Darth Snar says, I think an advantage to drivers like Max, Alonso, and Hamilton. Yeah, I would agree. Same thing. The drivers who have the most experience, who have been around the longest, will tend to have a better time. I mean, you look at a guy like Alonso, he's been in the sport more than 20 years now. He's driven from V10s to V8s to turbo hybrids to all different types of cars, so he should have no problems trying to adapt to these driving styles. Same with Max Verstappen. Of course, we know just how adaptable he is to driving different types of cars and extracting the performance. Hopefully the same goes for Hamilton as well, because the problem with Hamilton is in his career up until a couple of years ago, he had won a race in every single season in any type of different car that he drove. And same thing with Hamilton. He drove in the wide cars of the V8 days, then he drove in the turbo hybrid days, in the early days of KERS back in 2009, 2010. And he always drove well. He always managed to win races, but something happened when we went into the ground effect era where he just really didn't like those types of cars and he wasn't able to adapt to it whatsoever. And the thing is, though, is you have to be able to adapt as an elite Formula 1 driver, and he just wasn't able to. So we've gotten rid of the ground effect. We've kind of returned to the floor styles of pre-2022, and a lot of people are expecting this to favor Hamilton a little bit more than the ground effect cars did, but time will tell, right? So far, he has been struggling with the car. He was only in for a half day yesterday, and he had more of a tough go of it than Leclerc did, just from the reports from trackside, from journalists who were there. But it's still very early, so we'll see if he's going to be able to adapt to these generation of cars better than he did to the last ones. Maybe an advantage to the rookies, they don't have to unlearn and forget years of experience. Yeah, I get your point there, and I mean, there's maybe some truth to it. I think maybe an advantage for the rookies who haven't driven any type of F1 cars before. I know, for example, Arvid Lindblad, he has had some running and different things like that. I think if you're looking at it from the perspective of second-year drivers like Bortoleto, Ollie Behrman, it will be more difficult for them because if you think back to Oliver Behrman, for example, when he debuted in F1 last year, he already had a massive amount of F1 experience. He had filled in for Carlos Sainz the year before. He had done a lot of testing with Haas in previous cars and different things like that. So I think that the advantage was already built in for him because he had a lot of experience in F1. It's a lot harder for these rookies because these cars have just debuted a couple of weeks ago and they've only been able to drive it in the simulator. So it's much more difficult for them to get up to speed than in previous years where, for example, if you were a rookie who debuted in the middle of the ground effect era, you could at least test a previous ground effect era car to get to know what it's like, or maybe you got some free practice sessions throughout the year. So I see your point there, but I do think that it's still going to be advantage for these more veteran drivers like the ones that we mentioned before because, I mean, Hamilton, Verstappen, Alonso, these are all world champions. These are all some of the greats in our sport, and they're going to be able to adapt a lot better than some of the other drivers as well. So it's going to be interesting. It's a lot different. It's a lot different than how these drivers are used to driving a Formula 1 car. So I'm curious to hear some of the comments from the drivers as well after these tests about what they think the demands are. So yeah, it should be pretty interesting. So yeah, let's keep an eye out this driver tracker right now. We've got a lot of cars out on track with an hour and 20 minutes to go. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It looks like 7 cars out on track. Yeah, it looks like Bottas's transponder is still not working. So he's had some sort of an issue with his GPS all day long. So let's ignore that. But I've got this tweet from F1 Insights Hub saying, quite possibly Leclerc and Norris have started a race simulation. They've been running for a while now with lap times that seem realistic for a full tank of fuel. Leclerc starting on softs, Norris starting on hards. And yeah, so this was just a couple of minutes ago. And Norris and Leclerc are currently out on track. So why don't we go to the live telemetry of both of these drivers? They are currently sitting P1 and P2 at the moment, with Leclerc the fastest time of the day. He set that earlier in the PM session, and Lando Norris just right behind in P2. So we're going to keep a track of their telemetry here. And it looks like they are both doing race simulations. So yeah, Charles Leclerc, fastest time of the day so far. Actually, the fastest time of testing so far, 1:34.2. He's got 94 laps under his belt. He is the sole Ferrari driver for today. Lando Norris in P2, just behind him. We're watching both of their telemetries right now. 5/10 behind Charles Leclerc's time, and he's done 105 laps of his own. He is also the sole McLaren driver, so we're going to watch these two drivers now for a little bit. At the top of the hour, we're going to do a full rundown of all the times and the lap counts so far, so that should be in about 20 minutes time or so. But yeah, I'm still on the mic here, and if you got any questions, any comments, or any requests, I'm keeping an eye out on the chat, so I'll just leave it there. I see your comment there, compelled by the riff. Thank you for you're my own personal hype man here, I guess. Yeah, actually didn't even see how many likes there were on the video, but yeah, guys, if you are watching and if you are enjoying the content, then give it a like. It does help with the algorithm, and it does help get the live stream out there for more people to see. So yeah, we've actually got a pretty good audience there today. Yesterday it was a lot bigger, but it usually happens like that on the first day that it goes like that. But we got a really healthy audience going on right now, and also in the AM session. So yeah, we got about 10 minutes to go here, and then we should actually be getting some live pictures finally from the official F1 broadcast. So I'm going to be back then at the top of the hour, and then we'll actually be able to talk through some of the things that are going on out on track and out on our screens. So yeah, it should be a little bit more exciting, I think, for the final hour as we wrap up day 2 here. Alright guys, what's up everybody? Welcome to the final hour of day 2 of F1 testing here on the Formula Maximale YouTube channel. My name is Chris. Thank you so much for being with me these last couple of hours and throughout this entire day. If you're just joining the stream, welcome. Glad to have you along here for the final hour. We finally do have live pictures from the track in Bahrain, so we're going to be following along the action, commentating on it a little bit, and going through all of the data and telemetry that we have on our fingertips. I've got some comments in here that I haven't gotten to yet. What's up, David? Welcome to the stream. He says he's brand new to F1. Have Aston Martin put in any laps on day 2? Well, I've got all that information for you. Not to worry there, David. To answer your question shortly, yes, they have. Fernando Alonso has been in the car all day long for Aston Martin. It's been an okay day for them so far. He's completed 84 laps on the board. He's down there in 13th place, but we're not focused too much on the times just yet. So a healthy amount of laps there for Fernando Alonso. Aston Martin struggled a lot yesterday. They didn't get a lot of running out, so very important for them to get out and get as many laps in as they can today with that new Honda power unit, and they've done that so far. But we've read some interesting comments out from his teammate Lance Stroll earlier today, who has kind of painted a bleak picture about Aston Martin's chances, saying that they're about 4 seconds off of the other teams at the moment, but I'm not sure if that is really accurate so far at this point. But anyways, those were the comments from Stroll himself. So less than an hour to go already. We're already almost at the end of this session, and a lot has happened so far today. So I'm going to just quickly recap some of the action that has happened on track, and then we'll also go through the leaderboard, the amount of laps that have been done, and the best lap times so far. It's a pretty simple breakdown if you're just joining the stream. We've got the live timing up in front in the big screen there in the middle, the live driver tracker at the top right corner, and then at the bottom right corner, I'm usually posting some social media updates. But right there, you can see the driver lineup for today. And we see some of the drivers like Lando Norris in the car alone, Isaac Hadjar as well, Charles Leclerc, Fernando Alonso, and Oliver Behrman doing the duties alone, as well as Pierre Gasly. So that's the driver lineup for today. But yeah, it's been Leclerc out in front the whole day today for all the AM session and so far in the PM session as well. He's got the best time of a 1:34.2, 94 laps on the board. He's 5/10 quicker than Lando Norris, who's sitting right now in second place. Lando's done a lot of good laps today, 105 out on the board. Rounding out the top 3 is George Russell in that Mercedes, only 27 laps on the board, and the reason why is because Mercedes have had a lot of reliability issues so far to start this day. Kimi Antonelli actually missed out on the entire morning session because Mercedes had to change out the power unit. So they technically did 3 laps in the morning, but those were really just kind of installation laps, and he didn't set any sort of time. And also at the same time, Red Bull, another team that was dealing with reliability issues, they found a hydraulic leak in the chassis overnight, which led to some big changes and big repairs. So Isaac Hadjar completely missed the AM session, but he is currently out on track as we speak. We're going to follow his telemetry a little bit later. He's got the 8th fastest time at the moment, a 1:37.7, and he's done 58 laps so far in this PM session. So a pretty decent recovery, actually, for Red Bull. We've had a couple of red flags today. The first one came in the AM session from Cadillac's Sergio Perez. He stopped on track because of a throttle setup issue, but they eventually did get that repaired pretty quickly, and he got back out on track. He did 42 laps in the morning. His teammate Valtteri Bottas has taken over for the afternoon, and he's done 39 laps so far. So Cadillac, they've had some issues so far in the first 2 days, but quite honestly, for a brand new team in Formula One, they've actually done not a half bad job. So they're getting in some pretty decent mileage and well over 100 laps today for Cadillac. And the second red flag was actually from in the PM session with Pierre Gasly, as he stopped just before the end of turn 1 there. I'm not sure what the issue was exactly from the Alpine, but it's the second day in a row now that Alpine have had issues with their car. It was Franco Colapinto yesterday, and now it was Pierre Gasly today. So that was about an hour ago. It doesn't look like he's returned to the track since then. And yeah, just seeing your comment there, at Compelled by the Riff, I'm hearing now on F1 TV, Mercedes and Williams having PU issues. Yeah, it's definitely possible. If we can see in the driver tracker there's been some GPS issues as well, guys. But they're currently in the pit lane as well. So, yeah, very interesting. A lot of hype that came into this test and just in general into this season about Mercedes and the strength of the Mercedes power unit. And they've had some struggles. You know, they've really had some struggles in these last couple of days. So, not a good start so far for the Works Mercedes team. And it looks like some of their customers might be struggling as well. On the other hand, the Red Bull Ford powertrains has been pretty solid so far. The issue that Red Bull did have looks like to be on the chassis side, not on the engine side. So it's been a pretty solid start for the Red Bull Ford powertrain. And yeah, elsewhere on the grid, Haas have had another quiet day, but another quiet, kind of pretty strong, thorough day from them. Esteban Ocon was 4th yesterday. His teammate Oliver Behrman in the car today. He's sitting P5 at the moment, 104 laps on the board. Haas has kind of always gone about their testing this way, where they end up just doing a really solid job and kind of flying under the radar, doing a lot of long runs, a lot of laps on the board. So they've done a really solid test. Further down, we've got Audi. They've split their drivers today. Nico Hulkenberg in P7. Gabriel Bortoletto's in the car right now. He's actually out on track. Bortoletto's done 36 laps so far in the PM session, whereas Hulkenberg did 47 in the morning. And then we got Racing Bulls of Liam Lawson and Arvid Lindblad. Lawson in 10th, Lindblad in 14th. And we see, I think Lindblad is currently in the car at the moment. He's got 54 laps done so far today. And yeah, I think that's about rounding it up down through the grid. Williams, we just talked about them possibly having issues with their power unit. Alex Albon currently sitting 6th. He's in the car for them. 62 laps on the board. Carlos Sainz Carlos Sainz currently in the car right now. He's out on track. 34 laps on the board for him. So, yeah, if we're watching finally some live coverage now, we get to see the pictures. They're currently showing Isaac Hadjar out on track on my screen at the moment. 51 minutes to go in the session. Thanks, everybody, for following on the channel here. Yeah, say hello in the chat. Let me know where you're watching from around the world. And, of course, as well, I've got live telemetry from the drivers available to you. So since we're following Hadjar on our screens, I'm going to put him up on to, okay, it looks like we're going to follow a different driver now. They've just put a Fernando Alonso onto our screens, so we're going to try and follow his live telemetry. I think I might be slightly, yeah, it looks like it's a slight delay in my feed here. So once Fernando Alonso gets out on track, we're going to put his telemetry up on the board. But yeah, if you have any requests for your driver, your favorite driver, to get their telemetry up on the screen, just let me know in the chat. So, guys, unfortunately, it looks like the GPS, the transponder on Fernando Alonso's car is not working because I'm watching the live pictures at the moment. He is out on track. He just set another lap on the medium tire, but he's not showing up here on the telemetry or the driver tracker. So, unfortunately, we won't have access to his telemetry, but Fernando Alonso is out on track at the moment. He's currently sitting in P12. Yeah, it looks like a timing issue on F1's end because the driver tracker has just froze now at the moment, so I'll take that off the screen and return back to the live timing. I think the live timing is still working, so we'll keep an eye out on that. Lando Norris is currently setting 2 personal bests. He's on the C3, the medium tire at the moment. He's currently sitting in P2, so let's see if this lap will put him any faster and if he can take off the P1 position from Charles Leclerc. And Norris does go faster on his own time, but still stays in second place, so no change there at the top. We've got to refresh the timing here because I think they're having some issues with the data feed. And okay, here we go. Now we're back up and up to the minute. Yep, still frozen on the driver tracker, so we'll just give it a couple minutes, see if it comes back to us. At Anderson_999 is asking, did the teams only bring one car and the drivers are having to split time? Yeah, that's right. I believe it is only actually one physical car. I don't think that they have 2 chassis available at trackside in Bahrain, but definitely the rule is that the teams are only allowed to run 1 car per day, which means that, of course, either one driver does the whole day or they split between the 2 drivers. So you have some drivers, for example, as you can see on the lineup on your screen, McLaren, Red Bull, Ferrari, Aston Martin, Haas, and Alpine are all running a single driver today. So basically, in effect, the drivers get 1.5 days of running this week. Just going to reload here the live timing so the tracker can maybe reset itself. And there we go, we're back up. So less than 45 minutes to go, guys, in this day 2 of F1 testing here. And we're going to be live for the next 40 minutes or so. 107 of you, by the looks of my numbers here, have joined here, are watching live. Thank you very much. I appreciate everybody who's tuned in right now and throughout the day. If you like what you see, if you are enjoying these streams, make sure to subscribe to the channel and also enable those notifications. I will be live tomorrow morning again for a couple of hours in the AM session, and then I'm back next week from February 18th to the 20th, doing the exact same thing for the week 2 of F1 testing. And I'm also going to have some guests alongside me to help with the commentary and to help bring you all of the action. Just a programming note, once this test is over, once the stream ends in about 40 minutes time, I will be editing the day 2 summary video, wrapping up all of the action from the second day of F1 testing. So if you happen to miss anything, don't worry, because I'm going to be summarizing it all for you in about a 5-minute video. Everything that you need to know, all the data, the lap times, the lap counts, action from trackside, I'm going to have it all for you. So that's going to be posted up on the Formula Maximale channel in a couple of hours' time, and you can check that out as well. I see somebody in the comment there cheering Go Leclerc. So, yeah, why don't we put up Charles Leclerc's telemetry here? I might actually have to reload this one here. There he is. There's Charles Leclerc. Getting the up-to-the-minute live telemetry here. And I was talking about this earlier in the session as we were watching the live telemetry of these drivers. It's really interesting to pay attention to what gear these drivers are driving in the low-speed corners, but also down on the straights. We've seen some drivers only getting up to 7th gear on the main straight, and then we've also seen some drivers downshifting mid-corner. Max Verstappen, for example, yesterday was going all the way down to 1st gear in some of the low-speed corners, and he was also doing that mid-corner as well, which really upsets the balance of the car. But that's just kind of how you have to drive these new generation of cars with these different power units. So it's very interesting watching the live telemetry here, especially here. You'll notice just how much power Leclerc gets out of the corners, and then once he reaches that top speed, it really back ends off after the battery starts to deploy and after he starts to lose that charge of battery. It really drops dramatically, especially on this long straight here. So very, very fun to watch the live telemetry straight from the car here. Hey, back on the mic here, guys. I see your comment there at Compelled by the Riff. You're welcome. Thank you very much for joining me today. Hope to see you again tomorrow or for next week in the streams. And yeah, have yourself a great day. See you later. Abraham One Moto there to answer your question. Is there any way to ensure that 2 cars in a team for 2 drivers in a season are exactly the same or not? I mean, to answer that question, I guess there isn't really a way to know 100% for sure. Only the team, the drivers, and the members themselves will know whether the car is the same or not. But essentially, it should be the same in terms of the monocoque and the chassis, the engine, things like that. Where some differences might come into play is upgrade packages depending on the teammates. Of course, for example, last year when Yuki Tsunoda had his crash in Imola, then he was a couple of upgrades behind Max Verstappen's car through most of the season, actually, just because of the repairs and part shortages and different things like that. So basically, to summarize, I guess there really isn't any way to 100% ensure that 2 cars are always the same in a season for both drivers. But I guess that kind of is the, let's say, sort of the conspiracy theory that has been around always in the F1 world, that some teammates will say that their car is not the same spec as their teammates. I think possibly maybe even Sergio Perez said that about his time in Red Bull. So there's always those things at play. But in theory, they should be the same car. So guys, we've got less than 30 minutes to go now in this Day 2 F1 testing session. We're going to do a quick rundown of the times. We're going to be on the air for another 29 minutes or so, about 30 minutes or so, and then I'll be off to prepare the summary video for today's testing. It is still Charles Leclerc who is leading the times. He's been pretty much at the front this entire day. It is Leclerc P1, Norris 2, Oliver Behrman popped up in the P3 not that long ago. He's done 122 laps on the board. The most done so far in terms of lap times, in terms of lap count, has been Lando Norris. He's got 142. Rounding out the top 5, we got George Russell in 4th, Pierre Gasly in 5th. I haven't seen Gasly return to track since he had that issue just about an hour and a half ago or so. He brought out the red flag when his Alpine had to stop at the end of turn 1. Then we got Isaac Hadjar in the Red Bull in 6th place. He's got 76 laps completed. Bortoletto in the Audi 7th. Alex Albon 8th. Nico Hulkenberg 9th. And rounding at the top 10, we've got Carlos Sainz, who's just completed his 60th lap. He's still out on track. 7 cars out on track at the moment. It is a lot of teams still doing their long runs as we finish out the day. Of course, it is nightfall in Bahrain. Thankfully, we finally have some live pictures from the action there trackside. But yeah, I'm still going to be here on the mic with you guys for another 20 minutes or so. If you want to see any particular telemetry from your favorite driver who's out on track right now, just drop it in the chat. Or if you got any other comments, let me know in the chat below. And also in general, just let me know where you're watching from. Come say hello. Yeah, no problem there, Abraham. Yeah, I think that's what came into my mind was the that recent interview Perez had did on a podcast. I think about a month or so ago, where he talked about that. So it is a little bit kind of a gray area because you're never really not sure. But again, with all due respect to Sergio Perez, he is a fantastic driver, but I just don't think that he's on Max Verstappen's level, even if they were in the 100% exact same car. But yeah, that it is what it is at that point. So just seeing from the pictures on F1 TV that Fernando Alonso is out on track. He's going to be out, and we see them there on the driver tracker. So it looks like his GPS is working again. So we're going to follow his telemetry here in a little bit once he gets onto a flying lap. So guys, we got only 15 minutes to go here in this session about day 2 for F1 testing. The timing is still the same at the top. It's still Charles Leclerc, fastest at the moment, ahead of Lando Norris, Oliver Bearman, Russell in 4th, and Isaac Hadjar rounding out the top 5. So a lot of cars still out on track here in the closing moments of this second session for F1 testing. I'm still alongside here with the microphone, letting you guys know what's happening out on track, all the telemetry. Again, if you got any questions, if you got any concerns, if you got any requests, just drop it in the chat. I'm still here for the next 15 minutes or so. We've got a lot of cars still out on track, finishing out this day. Lando Norris just came into the pits and he's back out again. Carlos Sainz is on track with Leclerc, Lindblad, Bortoleto, Oliver Bearman, and as I said before, Isaac Hadjar. So very busy day of F1 testing. I will be off in the next 14 minutes. After that, I'm going to be preparing the Day 2 summary and recap video for Day 2 of F1 testing, so you'll be able to find that on my channel in the couple of hours following the conclusion of this test. So yeah, I'm going to let you guys still enjoy the action, but I will still be here for the next 15 minutes or so. Oh, thanks very much, Abraham. Just reading your comment there. Yeah, I'm really glad that you found the channel and glad that you enjoyed it as well. Yeah, subscribe to the channel. That's really the best way to support me, is just to subscribe to the channel. You know, watch as many videos as you can. Leave some comments, leave some likes. If you want to take it any further than that, I do not have a membership currently at this channel, but you should find in the homepage of my channel, I do have a link to some donation links if you really feel inclined to make any donations, or you can send some super chats through this live stream directly. But if you can't, that's not a problem. I know money is tight for everybody nowadays, but the best way you can do is just to subscribe to the channel and support me through that. So yeah, I really appreciate you. That's very kind of you to say, and I'm happy to hear that. So looking forward to seeing you more on this channel as well. right, down to the final 10 minutes here then of day 2 of F1 testing from Bahrain. Teams are still getting busy there in their long runs. We've just seen Lando Norris come in and out of the pit lane. Their team practicing their pit stops, and he's also back out on track. So, yeah, we're probably not going to get any sort of glory-type runs, at least for this week. It's still a little bit too early days for that. But, yeah, some pretty solid running. It's been pretty, so far so good in the PM session. We've had some brief red flags only from Cadillac and from Alpine. Alpine, I haven't seen Pierre Gasly since his car stopped at the end of turn 1. But we have seen pretty solid running throughout the field in this AM and the PM session as well. And yeah, virtual safety car has just come out now, so I think that just about kind of signifies the end of the session. I believe the FIA is just doing their routine checks with the virtual safety car system, the red flag system, and I think that means that that will probably wrap up the day's running. I believe the drivers will be allowed to eventually get to the grid to do some practice starts, but they've been doing a lot of those practice starts straight from the pit lane today. I've showed a lot of those videos today. Very interesting how much they have to rev these engines at these low speeds in order to spin the turbo to where it needs to be and also to be able to charge the battery. So we might be able to get to see some of those. Although yesterday, the Formula One management, they pretty much cut off the stream right at 5 o'clock. So they weren't wasting any time, and I believe that that's probably going to happen once again today. And there we go. We've got the red flag is out now officially. So red flag is out. That means the cars currently out on track will have to return to the pits, and that basically does it for the on-track running, because I do not think that we're going to get started again. It's happened the same way as it did yesterday. So we'll allow these cars to return to track. And then we're going to do a quick rundown of all the times today, and then that'll be it, guys. That'll be it. That'll be me signing off for this day 2 stream. But we still got about 7 minutes or so on the air, so stick around. We're going to go through all of the timings so far here, and anything else that we can find here on social media that might be of interest. Now, let's see. Do we have some sound of the Honda power unit, possibly? We do. So that's the sound of the Honda power units. Of course, the only team that is powered by Honda this year is Aston Martin, and we're going to get to Aston Martin in a little bit, just as we finish up the wrap-up here with about 6 or so minutes left officially in the session. But the cars are just making their way around, and they have all returned to the pit lane. So no cars out on track at the moment. There is a red flag, but these are just routine system checks from the FIA. And, oh, actually, the red flag is lifted. The red flag is lifted, and we do have cars coming back out onto the track. So Arvid Lindblad is out on track at the moment. He's got about, let's see, about 5 minutes or so left out on track, but these laps really won't be too meaningful for the teams. But they're going to get out anyways just to make use of it. All right, guys, less than 60 seconds to go in this session, and that about does it for the running because the car drivers are just out on the grid right now doing some practice starts. We got a yellow flag just as a precaution, so drivers will do their practice starts now actually on where they're going to be starting the race instead of near the pit lane, and then they'll go around one more time, and that should do it. There's only 30 seconds left officially in the session, and that will be it. But no more fast laps, no more times to talk about. That about does it. 8 hours of testing goes by just like that in the snap of a finger, and we're already done for this day. So let's recap the action just really quickly. Charles Leclerc, the quickest driver on day 2 of testing with the best time of a 1:34.2. He completed a mighty 139 laps on his own in the Ferrari, and another very good day for the Ferrari power unit in terms of reliability. Close behind there is Lando Norris in second for the McLaren. He set a 134.7, and he was also solo in the car today, 149 laps. He did the most laps of any driver here on day 2. Rounding out the top 3, Oliver Bearman and Haas. Another a strong day for Haas in terms of lap mileage and testing. He did 130 laps on his own, so very well, good job for Oliver Bearman. George Russell in the other Mercedes 4th, Isaac Hadjar in 5th. Hadjar missed the entire AM session due to a chassis leak in the Red Bull, but he managed to do 87 laps in the afternoon session. Gabriel Bortoleto in the Audi, he did 67 laps in the afternoon. Pierre Gasly brought out a red flag about 2 hours ago in the afternoon session and did not return after to the track, but he did get 97 laps completed so far. Valtteri Bottas for Cadillac finishing in the top 10. He gets 67 laps in the afternoon. Alex Albon in 9th. And rounding out the top 10 positions is Nico Hülkenberg in the second Audi, and he did 47 laps this morning. Then further down, we got Arvid Lindblad in 11th, Carlos Sainz in 12th, Liam Lawson in 13th, Fernando Alonso down in 14th. He did 98 laps today. A lot of complaints coming from the Honda Aston Martin camp saying that they're going to be a good couple of seconds off the pace, and some reports from the journalists in the paddock and in the pit lane saying Alonso visibly frustrated already. So that pace is not there so far for the Aston Martin Honda. Then we got Sergio Perez in the other Cadillac in 15th with 42 laps on the board. Kimi Antonelli had problems in the AM session with his Mercedes power unit, so he only managed 3 laps with no time on the board. 16 drivers were in action today, and that does it for day 2 of F1 testing at the Bahrain International Circuit. That means that does it for this stream as well. We've been streaming for about close to 6 hours today here on the Formula Maximale channel, and it's gone really, really quickly, but I've had an absolutely amazing time doing this stream here today. I will be back tomorrow morning on this channel to do a couple of hours of streaming from 8 o'clock in the morning till about 11 in the morning Eastern time. So if you guys are up that early and want to tune into the channel once again, you can. You'll be able to find that live stream schedule on the homepage of my channel. If not, then the next time I will see you guys will be for next week's test, the second week of the Bahrain F1 testing from February 18th to the 20th. I will be live for 6 hours on all 3 of those days, and I've got some guests coming on with me as well to provide some commentary and their insights on the action. Until then, guys, I'm off now to edit the summary video for day 2 of F1 testing. I will upload that within a couple of hours' time to the channel. If you go to the homepage of my channel, you will find all the information about future live streams, the latest videos, and everything. I urge everybody to subscribe to the channel, enable notifications so you never miss a video, and also check me out on social media. I'm at Formula Maximale on Instagram and on Twitter. You can see that on your screen in front of you. Well, that does it for me. I've been Chris Cato for these live streams. Thank you so much for the support. I appreciate all the comments and questions that you guys gave, and I hope to see you guys again soon, next time on the channel. Thank you very much, and have yourselves a great day. Bye for now.